Welcome back to On the Daily. My name is Danielle McCleary, and today I am going to address the feelings that I've been seeing amongst some of my clients and just things I've been picking up on from the collective. And it's around this June feeling particularly slow for entrepreneurs. And most people have been saying that it's slow compared to last June. And so a lot of people are comparing it to last year and seeing that their numbers are down and they're confused. And so I have thoughts and downloads and things to share on this topic. So if you're in this boat or you have clients in this boat, or maybe you're like not in this boat, but you like to be tapped into the collective consciousness, then this episode's for you. So keep on listening. Hey, friend. Welcome to On the Daily. I'm your host, Danielle McCleary, and I am a quantum business coach. I'm the host of this podcast. I'm a multi-six-figure entrepreneur, co-founder and president of Hype You Media, and CEO of Danielle on the Daily Coaching. What I'm really interested in is helping you live a life and have a business that is a full body yes. So through all of my education and all of my experience, I'm bringing you 2 episodes a week where I will guide you and give you the tools necessary to scale a massive, sustainable, and sexy business using your intuition, wealth energetics, and human design. What we can call it is business biohacking. So if you're down for that, then I say let's frickin' go. I'm so glad you're here. A lot of conversations I've been having are around June and why June is feeling slow for some people. And a few of my clients are experiencing this right now. And it usually comes up in the terms of like, I'm not like worried about it, but I'm just noticing that June seems to be slow this year compared to last June. And I think when people say slow, what they mean is that people are not buying from them as frequently. Maybe their numbers are down, their sales are lower. Maybe in areas where they should see high productivity, they're not seeing high productivity. And, just kind of questioning why. Now, I have very, very self-assured clients who don't really freak out about much, but there's a difference between freaking out and being curious. And I think a lot of people are curious right now. Why does this June seem to be different? Here's my take. Because I got this download. I get this sometimes. I'm a very intuitive person, and sometimes I just get downloads from the collective, and I kind of wait on them usually to see like how they play out. But this one played out exactly the way I thought it would. And so I actually don't think that this June is any different from June 2022. And the reason I think that is because a lot of people thought June 2022 was slower in business in certain industries, right? And I think when this happens, we could like go into like numbers and we could go into like patterns and we could go into sales strategy. What I like to do is like zoom out and like think of like how the collective was feeling at these times. So in June 2022, we were kind of coming out of the main initial pandemic period. And we weren't like out of the woods. We weren't like, it wasn't gone by any means, but the world was opening back up. At the same time, there was this fear being kind of, I would say, perpetuated and almost maintained in the mainstream media of, we don't know what's going to happen in the fall, in the winter. For all we know, we could get locked down again like we were last year. And so I think what that did is it kind of infused this fear into the collective, which made everybody freak out and then say like, oh, well, we better go travel then. We better go somewhere. We better get out of town. We better fly. We better plan that family vacation that we've been wanting to plan. And so people were going out of town. They were going to other countries that were open. They were taking family vacations to Disney World. They were going to the lake. They were spending more time with their family, and they were doing a lot more traveling, which obviously when people are traveling and they're in vacation mode, they're not like thinking about buying goods and services. They're definitely not thinking about coaching. They're definitely not thinking about like buying their supplements because it's like a little bit more of a fun time. And so I think businesses saw a dip in June, some businesses. And I think the ones that saw the dip the most in 2022 were the ones that like had coaching businesses or, were in like real estate. There were certain industries where if people are traveling and they're like in vacation mode, they're not really thinking about your product or service. And I think those are the industries that saw the biggest hit. This year, this June is kind of the same because like last year, 2023, everyone had like spent all their money in 2022. And then like, I think there were a lot more people that just like stayed around for the summer. This summer is very similar to 2022 in that if you look at what the mainstream media, and I never do, except when I have a download and then I kind of like tap back into the mainstream media just for a second to see if like what's coming through is true. And in this case, it was. And basically, like most of the news right now is like talking about the impending doom of a stock market crash or a housing market crash or inflation ruining everyone's lives, or we don't know what's going to happen with the election. And if this person gets elected, then the whole world's going to end, right? Depending on what you listen to, like if that person gets elected, then the world's going to end. So what does this do? This infuses, again, fear into the collective. Fear of uncertainty, fear of the unknown is the easiest fear to perpetuate and instigate because it like attacks people's insecurities. And a lot of people's insecurities come from money, security, stability, and loss of freedom, right? Like the fear of losing freedom, the fear of losing sovereignty, which by the way, like no one can take from you, really. I'm not okay, that was not like political commentary. I mean, like energetically, you are a sovereign being. So it's a perfect example of this. And then I'm going to go back to what I was saying. I saw this like article come out about like, I guess like Anthony Fauci, who was kind of like the poster child of COVID protocol. He was interviewed on Capitol Hill, and basically like it came out that a lot of the restrictions that were implied were like made up by him. Like they were just like what he thought was a good idea, like 6 feet of distancing and like masking on kids and like a lot of things. I didn't read the entirety of it because it was one of those moments where like I had already had that download and I like read part of the article and I was like, well, this is not devastating or shocking, like duh. And that was like kind of the energy I maintained the entire time during the pandemic. I just remember being like, this sounds made up. And like anything that's like made up, I'm just like not interested in. And so, or anything that feels made up for the gain of somebody else greedily making money, that just, I usually just like say, no, thank you. Politely unsubscribe and decline. Unsubscribe from that. Thank you so much. But a lot of people are like, I can't believe that I fell for that. I was controlled. I was forced to stay inside and whatever. Now, if you were in the United States, no one forced you to do anything. There actually were like no actual enforceable rules for you to stay in your house. You chose to do it out of fear. And like, that's fine. This is not a commentary on like who was right and who was wrong. This is a commentary on sovereignty. You had a choice, like you had a choice the whole time. And I think hopefully the lesson that people will learn is to like never give that much of themselves away to someone else, never outsource that much of their personal power to anything or anyone ever again. And like really, really rely on their own intuition, their own discernment, their own energetic downloads, right? Like that's what I'm hoping happened. Anyway, back to what we were saying. So that's what's happening. There's a lot of fear being infused into the collective right now around uncertainty, around what could happen, around the fear of loss of money, security, stability, freedom, and sovereignty. There's a lot of that happening. And so what happens when people are fearing the unknown? They typically have the mentality or they're motivated by, well, because we don't know, just in case the world ends, we should go on vacation this year. Just in case that person gets elected and like takes away everyone's rights, which like, I don't believe that that's going to happen regardless of who is elected. Like, I don't believe that. I just think that we give too much power away to these politicians that actually work for us. And I wish that I'm not a political strategist, although I probably could be. Like, I just wish we could all realize that like, if we could all come together and actually have more conversations with one another instead of like the media telling you that that person is bad or that group of people is bad, and then you believing it and then you just like prejudging everyone. If we could all just like realize that that is all to instill fear into the collective, all of that, oh, that group of people is bad, that person is bad, that is bad. If we could all just like stop listening to the media tell us who to be afraid of or who to hate or who to not like or who to disagree with, and we actually just like used our own intuition and our own discernment and then had conversations with people and found common ground. Like everyone has common ground with everyone. Maybe not in every area, but like I believe every single person on this planet has at least one thing in common with everyone else on this planet. I believe that. And you may be like, no way, I don't have anything in common with that person, with Donald Trump or with Joe Biden. I have nothing in common with them. I guarantee you, if you sat down and you had a conversation with both of those people, there would be at least one thing you had common ground on. Maybe not everything, but that's what I'm saying. I just wish we would like come together and actually have more conversations and like actually just realize that these politicians actually work for us. And so all this fear that's being instilled, it like just being like pumped into the collective is really just to keep us more controlled, because the only way that you are controlled in this world, in this existence, is if you live in fear or you don't think for yourself. And so when all of this started happening and I saw that people were traveling a lot more, like Italy is the place to be. I'm literally, as you're probably listening to this, if you're listening to this on launch day, I'm literally on a plane on my way to Italy right now. So I'm traveling as well, not because I'm afraid, but because I travel whenever I want and I like Italy and pasta and espresso and gelato and all the things that I will be eating for the next 2 weeks. But anyway, I like to zoom out and I like to go, okay, what's happening really, and I usually like all of these media outlets that can like never agree on anything. I usually find that like when they all agree on something, that's like the moment I go, okay, what's really happening here? And then I like to follow the money and I like to follow like who owns what. And I've come to the conclusion, and this is kind of circling back to like the June thing. It's a really good way to increase airline prices, and a really good way to increase hotel prices, and what's a really good opportunity to get as many people as possible enrolled in Clear, TSA PreCheck, or Global Entry, which like puts all your biometric data into a system, which like, by the way, I have those things. This isn't like some conspiracy on that, but like, I think we can all agree that the government really likes to keep track of its people, and the more people that they have in this biometric system, the better for them, right? Like, I really do believe that. And so what's a really good opportunity to do all these things? You infuse fear into the population around what could happen. So you get people to be traveling. And then it was like right after this download happened, and I kind of started to share this, the next morning I opened my inbox and it's like an email from Clear, and it's like, enroll in TSA PreCheck now for only $77. By the way, that did not used to cost that much. It was way more than that when I got TSA PreCheck, but I think it was like $300 when I did it. But like, enroll for $77, no appointment needed. Also different because that was like not a thing. And then it's like, but then like and then the allure of TSA and PreCheck is already there, because then you fly through security faster, right? Like it's one of those things. And I just went like, see, it's the perfect mix, because now they get everything they want. The airlines are making way more money. Hotels are making way more money. And this is what like big companies want, because a lot of these big companies, they're owned by even bigger companies. And those even bigger companies own a lot of industries. They own the media, they own, then they're connected to the pharmaceutical industry. And then those companies are connected to other lobbying groups. Like it's all part of a plan. And like, again, this isn't some conspiracy, like, oh, they're trying to ruin, like whatever. I mean, I probably think that they are trying to like have more control over us. And if you look at like different companies like BlackRock and like some of these venture capitalist companies, they own everything. Like they own the music industry. Like why do companies like that need to own the music industry? Anyway, all that to be said, I think that is why like June might feel slower for some people, because there's a lot of people traveling right now, and like that's why. But if you can zoom out and you can like not fall into the trap of like being afraid of like what could happen, and not fall into the trap of, oh my gosh, the world is ending. And if you can not fall into the trap of like what do I do? Is my money secure? And then not fall into that trap of like tightening up your own finances. Like if you really need to, that's one thing. But most people who think they need to tighten up their finances probably don't. And actually what they probably need to do is like start investing in more things so they can diversify their income. They can receive more mentorship support. They can actually like grow their business a little bit more. But usually when fear is infused into the population, that's like a time when most people like pull back. So June for me, I typically get a lot of like defaulted payments. People are asking for payment extensions, payment changes, like all these different things. And this is, I mean, again, if you're in business, this is why you should have a contract, because your contract sticks regardless of what fear is being pumped into the collective through the media. But just kind of, I guess this episode is more about like, have discernment. Don't just fall for everything just because. Don't just like freak out and spiral because, you're thinking about it from one avenue. Like, can you zoom out and can you take more of an omniscient approach to what's going on in the world around you? What is the motivation? What could be gained if X and Y happen? Like this is just where like math really becomes like part of the equation. But I actually don't think that June is slower. I'm having a very good June, and I know a lot of people who are also having very good Junes, but these are the people that do not subscribe to like mainstream fear, mainstream propaganda, mainstream media. Like these are people that just don't like subscribe to that and really trust, like I trust my own body more than I'll ever trust the media, like CNN, Fox News, doesn't matter. Like I will trust myself more than I trust anything that I read or am told to believe in. So I hope this is helpful. Like I said, I'm on my way to Italy right now. And so I'm not saying don't travel, and I'm not saying, don't do what you need to do financially for your family. I'm saying don't just do what everyone else is doing strictly because everyone else is doing it. And I hope if we learned anything from COVID, that like that was it, because I saw a lot of like families break up. I saw a lot of friends end. I saw a lot of like hurt and pain that had nothing to actually do with the pandemic itself. And it was really, really fueled by fear. And so I'm really hoping that we can like pull back and like learn how to zoom out and take more of an omniscient approach to these issues. Even when it comes to our business and sales. So on that note, if you haven't heard, I have a new program starting July 8th. It's called Witchy Business. And if you are interested, if like you've tried all the strategy stuff and you're like, okay, I'm still just like not feeling aligned with my brand or my business, and like maybe even like branding colors, maybe it's the way that your brand markets itself, it sells itself. Witchy Business is really going to teach you how to do all of that using human design and astrology. So if you've tried all the cerebral things and you're ready to take a more spiritual approach to business, then DM me on Instagram, Danielle_on_the_daily, DM me the word witch, and I will send you all of the info you need. I actually made a little video explaining the program in its entirety and everything you're going to get. So if you're like a visuals and a details person, then just DM me and I'll send you that video. But we start July 8th and space is limited. So make sure that if you're interested, you get your questions answered now so you can decide if it's right for you. Okay, on that note, I will talk to you soon. Love you. Bye.